to Harvey's Hub. Real treat I found for myself this morning. This is the Mr. Toys version of Conan the Barbarian, and I was not expecting myself to be this pleased with it, if I'm totally honest with you. This has blown me away. I thought it was awesome. I'm familiar with the siphon bodies, which, for those of you who don't know, it's the flexible, seamless rubber bodies that create the aesthetic looks that you get with the posing displays for generally the muscular 1/6 scale figures. This is down to a T Arnold Schwarzenegger in his heyday as Conan the Barbarian. So the kit that I got, which I'll show the box in a second, included the head sculpt, the necklace, the gauntlet sleeves, the belt, as well as the fur undies, which kind of look like overgrown pubes. The sword, which is die cast. You get the hammer there, the boots, as well as the knife that's heading down here. And the seller also advertised this amazing throne, which I thought was really eye-catching. Quite a display piece. I thought it'd go perfectly well with Conan as I wanted to display him, but as this is kind of my first review as such, I'm going to try and go in some more detail and get some poses for this fella, as I think he truly deserves it, and I hope you enjoy. So I hope you enjoyed my little guitar piece at the start. That was my acoustic version of Conan the Barbarian. So yeah, stay tuned for some poses of the Mr. Toys 1/6 scale Conan the Barbarian as portrayed by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, the first pose I've sort of gone for is a upright pose, just so you can have a good look at the physique on the figure as well as the throne. Just get a good idea of what we're talking about here. The head sculpt, if I'm not mistaken, is the recast of the Tech Noir from Hot Toys, very, very similar. I will compare that shortly. So I do have the Hot Toys Tech Noir version. That's rooted hair as well, which I thought was even more appealing for this figure, as I just thought it captured exactly what I wanted from a Conan figure. And the, I don't know what you call that, the head mask, should we say, or crown, want for a better word, is removable. So I will take that off in some other poses. And that's the physique. This is the Phicen M35 version. I've got a couple of the Phicen M34s to go with my Hot Toys Dutch and Tech Noir. So I do love those bodies. I think they are awesome. And so far they haven't had any cracking issues on me as of yet. I hope I don't live to regret that. But so far so good. I am pleased with that. I think the head sculpt's a really great likeness. As I said, I think this is a copy to the Tech Noir version. And I think the likeness is spot on. I was torn between this and Caustic Plastic. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They do a version in 1/6 scale, which also do the kit. And they also do a masterclass set, which includes trousers and some of the upper clothes that he was wearing. But I decided to go with this for now. I may get the brown trousers to complete my interpretation of Arnold Schwarzenegger. But for now, and again, this has just arrived today, so I'm kind of buzzing. You know that new feeling when you get a new figure through the door. This was a very different one. And when you almost don't expect much from a piece, you sort of and ah, and you think, oh, I'm going to go for it. And what really sold it to me was that throne as well. I was dying to see what it would look like, because we haven't had a Conan the Barbarian from one of the high-end companies. So all in all, when he arrived, I straight away thanked the seller. I was like, man, this is amazing. I can't thank you enough. You've made my day. I've had a few difficult weeks as such, and this has sure as hell picked me up. So yeah, I've also kissed the postman, which I think was my Facebook status when he arrived. And it's only tonight that I've had a chance to actually have a good look at him, because he's been in the throne all day. So yeah, this throne here. I'd love to tell you who makes it. The seller couldn't tell me that either. I think it's a great representation of the sort of barbarian look back in the heyday, very rough, rugged, kind of a gothic looking as well with all those skulls. It's not 100% resin either. I'd say it's almost more of a, not paper mache, but somewhere within the two, so it's not as heavy as you might think. But very durable, and it does the job. A couple of red cloaks on the back. Also comes with the shield and the knife, which is engraved in. There's some loose fabrics, some fur on the actual seat, some steps and a skull. There's another skull as well that's also detachable that has come off the set, as well as the large hammer. And here is the large hammer, which is pretty cool. And this is even larger, which I haven't included on this because it's difficult to balance, so I'll just try and balance it there. It's not working. Didn't think so. There we go, that'll do. So yeah, that's the first pose for you with the throne. Arnold standing, admiring King of the Hill. Okay, this pose is going to prove to be tricky, but I hope he lasts because I don't use any of the crotch grabbers, and so far so good. Basically, I've got him on the rotating base. I wanted to see if he would last, and so far he has. And this is one of his epic poses, as is on the front of the box. I thought it'd be a good chance to show him off. This is Conan, the Barbarian, in a sword pose. I think this gives a great opportunity to show off the siphoned body that he's on. Look at that back, man. And the calves, legs just like Arnold, especially in the days of the 1980s, which is when I was a kid, loving Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's the first pose. Very difficult to balance him, believe it or not, whilst he's rotating on that. I don't know how much longer he's going to last, but like I said, so far so good. And I think that's a pretty good pose. Bearing in mind he's actually difficult to balance. Those boots, if I'm totally honest, aren't the easiest to get him balanced on, particularly whilst he's rotating, but with the siphon body, anything's possible. I do like that pose. So yeah, you get to get great definition with these bodies, as I said. The fur on the pants and the leather straps there. And the boots are pretty cool. So a quick look at his head whilst he comes around one more time. I think the hair really works with this. I don't normally like the rooted hair, but as I said with Conan, I really like it. Let me know what you guys think. Okay, second pose I've gone for, I tried to do that traditional pose, if I'm totally honest, where the sword is behind his head and he's aiming forward, and his left hand I've borrowed from my Anakin Skywalker from Hot Toys. It's the best sort of hand I can think for this pose, but the issue with that is the sword is die cast. It's so heavy that it throws it off a little bit, so I'll give it another shot, but again, balancing it as it is pretty tough to do. But I've also taken the head garment off to show the head sculpt a little bit more, and also there's sort of maybe a little bit of wind effect. I do want to emphasise, to get the right pose, it can take a long time, and it's not that I'm rushing, but I've got a little one upstairs that's not quite asleep yet, and to be honest with you, it's I'm always against time, so this is more rushed than the rest of my collection. When I do get a pose, I can, those of you who know Hot Toys figures and posing around and things, it can take a while, so tweaks here and there to get the absolute perfect pose. So yeah, I've gone with this look for now. Quick look at that head sculpt. I just think it looks cool. So here's the second pose for Conan the Barbarian. Okay, this is pretty much the look I was going for. One thing to point out, which I'm sure people that have these siphon bodies know too well, when you're trying to get poses, particularly when they're raised like this, old Arnold, being the bodybuilder that he was, knew how to flex and pose at all the right angles. That's the one thing this can't do, is particularly if you see this arm, he would always have that bicep really flexed to give the look, and obviously you can't achieve that with the siphons. You could always say room for improvement for them in the future. But again, it's still at the right angle. That looks pretty cool. Very cool, actually. But again, with that flex and you know just the perfectionist in me, that would be what I'd want to go for. But yeah, I think that shows off that look pretty well. Maybe worthwhile colouring in the nips as well, to be honest with you. Looks like he's got no nipples at the minute. And again, that sword is so heavy, it's tinkering with it all the time. It keeps wanting to drop. But yeah, nice and dynamic pose. I thought that shows him off in all his glory. Okay, next sort of pose I've gone for is just to try and show another angle to the figure. Is a classic pose from Arnold from the film. Try to replicate it as best I can. Again, I'm not using any crotch grabbers, so to get this balanced it's a tricky one, but nothing better than a challenge in my eyes. So one thing I can't get him on is a rotating base. To do that I'd need more time, if I'm totally honest with you. I thought that was pretty cool though. It's got him looking how I wanted to. I'd probably put a rock base or something like that to display this in all its glory, to give it the real dynamic effect. But yeah, I think it does the job. I think you'd instantly know who that was from the pose alone. And again, it's just a great way to show off what these siphon bodies can do that you don't get with your normal 1/6 scale bodies, to be honest with you, particularly that aren't clothed, because you're going to see all sorts of joints and ugly things like that. So yeah, I do kind of like that pose. I was a big fan of the film. The Conan film was very good. The first one more so than the second, being Conan the Destroyer. Again, very much nostalgia from my childhood. One of his early films. One of the ones that did put him on the map, so to speak, before the iconic Terminator in 1984. I believe this was made in 1982. So he was massive in this, about 230 pounds, maybe a little bit heavier. Ripped to shreds as well. One of the greatest, if not the greatest physique in my eyes in the history of bodybuilding. Massive, but not too massive, if you get me. Like a lot of the guys you see here today. And he's a one of a kind. What an action hero he was. The name of films is endless, absolutely endless. And this pretty much put him on the map, as I say, and the rest is history. And for me, my favourite films were the Terminator 1, 2, The Predator, Total Recall, I think's an awesome watch. What else have we got in there? I actually kind of liked End of Days. I thought that was quite good. But noticeably... And Commando, actually, for its... the film's not particularly great, but again, I'm going purely on nostalgia. I thought that was so cool as a kid. He was the man, racking up the weapons. I have got the Hot Toys versions of Commando, and I will do a review on him someday. Going down memory lane there with Arnold Schwarzenegger films. But yep, there's the Conan the Barbarian pose. Number 3 or 4 is that? I don't know. Okay, one thing I did promise to do was to compare the head sculpts of what I think is the recasted head sculpt. Although having looking at it, who knows? I just think that they are very, very similar. This is the Hot Toys Tech Noir, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. That's the shootout scene from the Techno nightclub when he's about to raise all hell in that nightclub, and what a scene that was. So let's try and get a little bit of a close-up on that head sculpt right there. As I said, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it, the Hot Toys version, and it's quickly drawing a comparison to the figure in question, the Conan head sculpt. I don't know, what do you think? Very similar. Colour tone is different. He's paler in the Hot Toys version. I think the expression is very similar. Undoubtedly, who is who there. And there's my two Arnolds, very similar years in films, 1982, 1984. Classic. And like I said, posing them up, even with him, he's a siphon body on that. Need I quickly say I changed that from the classic TTM bodies that come with the Hot Toys version, purely because I just prefer the look. I mean, I've done the siphon look with the arrival scene. I've got that on my YouTube channel. Just a little few poses mixed in a video style of the first Terminator film. You'll be able to see that. And I left that in that pose for quite a while, you know, when he's bent over and he just arrives in from the future, and the body stood the test of time with that, so I was pleased. There was no cracks or anything there, so I do rate these siphon bodies, so I can't say that enough. But that's the M34 on the Tech Noir. All the other parts are original Hot Toys. And that's the siphon M35, which is slightly bulkier, particularly the legs. And if and when I do get the trousers to fit the Conan, that will be a test to see if they will actually squeeze on. So I might have to go for the caustic plastic version to fit onto my Mr. Toys Conan the Barbarian. So yeah, that's the two of them compared together. Let me know what you think. As far as a custom job goes, and that's high-end Hot Toys on the left, I would say that's pretty cool, wouldn't you? I'm pleased with it. I know it's subjective, all this stuff's subjective. I know I appreciate the likes, people give me thumbs up, but no matter what you do, there's people out there that will give you thumbs down, and that's the way it is, but you know, let people like that bother me, so sharing is caring. That's all that counts in this game. Okay, and there's those two compared. Okay, before I do forget, this is the box he comes in. As you can see, it's a very small box, there's no body included. This is the accessory set from Mr. Toys. In there is foam inserts. You can see there's the branding there and their pose at the back. Again, you see that flopping bicep issue. So that's the siphon body. Again, the same body, M35, that they're showing off. And these are also some, this is where the sword goes, the holster for the main die-cast sword. But I haven't actually got out the wrapping yet. I was too excited, to be honest with you, to get this guy posed up. I've literally, after finishing work, I thought I've got to get this guy up online, get some poses. Thought this would be a good start for my channel, the first review as such, just to give you an outline of what the figure entails. And I am a bit of a perfectionist at times, and I find that sometimes it just doesn't get done if it's not to a high standard. So unless I just bash out these videos and get them out there, you know, literally off the cuff, I'm not rehearsing anything, I'm just saying it as I see it, and I'm posing the figures to try and give an all-round visualization of how I see the figure best to be shown off, and I hope I'm doing alright with that. So there we go, there's the packaging for the Mr. Toys 1/6 Conan the Barbarian. And with that, you do get everything other than the body, just to make that clear. And the siphon M35 or M34 would go great to display and complete the figure. Okay, so there we have it. That's my review done of the Mr. Toys Conan the Barbarian with the siphon M35 body and the diorama throne, which I'd love to tell you who makes it, but for the life of me I don't know who does. So anyone that does know, I'd love to hear in the comment section. Really enjoyed this figure, and of course he's going back in that throne. To me that's the ultimate look, nice and simple. I think he looks absolutely epic there, and complements my Arnold display, which I'll just shut this cabinet now, and that'll be him for the time being. Just show you the top of my Arnolds. I think that looks pretty good. What more could you want from a Conan figure, huh? Really like that. So yeah, any other comments or suggestions for my channel, I'd love to hear them. This is a snippet review of what I'd like to get covered in the future. I've got lots of figures here. Any that catch your eye, please do check out my collection video for all of them. And from some posing ideas, I know some people have commented saying that they're very complimentary on the way I pose my figures, and I very much would like to share my philosophy on that. I know there's a few YouTube channels out there that do that at the minute anyway. Posing with Pete is one of them. It's something I've always found fascinating with the hobby, and it's one of the main things that I get from it. I love articulated figures, and the realism and getting dynamic poses, I think, is what it's all about. So yeah, more to come, definitely. Please subscribe and like if you haven't done already. I would love to, again, have some feedback and ways of moving the channel forward. I will leave you now with what I started the review in, which was my rendition on the acoustic guitar of Conan the Barbarian. Another little hobby of mine. I have several hobbies that keep me occupied and from going slightly mad. So enjoy, and thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Son of a bitch.